be allowed to exist. I have no intention to leave my work unfinished.
The world's upside down right now.
Where do we start?
We came here to see Jeff. What you got? No, not on my.
Buck, I have a plan. Oh, yeah? What is it?
Is you ready?
Here we go again, huh?
We've been grinding hard on the job. Can't take that from us. Are you ready? Is you ready? Ready? You think you ready? Ready? Is you ready? Are you ready? Ready? Is you ready?
Hello, girl. Kick your
Trinidad, the
ass.
Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best TV show reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And, well, this last Friday from the weekend, the final episode of Falcon Winter Soldier finally dropped on Disney Plus, the 6-episode television series that Disney Plus has put out. And as you have seen, I have not put out any episode-by-episode reviews. Instead, I chose to go ahead and just binge it all at once. And between Saturday and Sunday night, well, actually Sunday and Monday night, I went ahead and I binged the entire thing. And let me just tell you, that is the way to watch it. This week-to-week stuff like WandaVision, forget it. And so now that I've watched all 6 episodes, I will give you my overall review of the entire series. And remember, shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And for Falcon Winter Soldier, I would say for the entire series, it is a shock a thumbs up. And for every single episode, it is also shock a thumbs up. Now, some people have said, just kind of glancing through the media, that, the final finale, the 6th episode, is kind of a weak and falls down. But I would say and argue that this show is entirely strong all the way through, much stronger, in fact, than WandaVision. Now, each episode went about 40 minutes, maybe a little more due to the credits, but essentially all the action and story you're getting is in that 43 minute block. Basically it starts out after the blip, after the snap, of course, after Endgame. So much for maybe a few months later. Now, for those of you who don't remember or didn't know, Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come out first before WandaVision. And set up the MCU television universe like that. You also get kind of a nod towards that and the upcoming WandaVision when they, kind of reference, it's like, is it aliens, is it androids, or is it wizards, as being the troublesome people in the world nowadays. So that's kind of where the focus is, with Doctor Strange being thought of as the only wizard per se, alluding to the fact that Wanda and WandaVision would become so troublesome later. And skidding across the potential for mutants. And as what I have seen not many people recognize or realize, is that they leave out altered humans or mutants additionally to this. Androids, aliens, and wizards does not account for more superheroed people through genetics, through super soldier serums, very much like what happens in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Basically, one could consider this a direct sequel to Civil War. We do get the return of Baron Zemo, but mostly as an ally, where the character really grows as an anti-hero, which has made people hint and think about potential future series of the Thunderbolts, where Baron Zemo leads a group of former supervillains tasked to become superheroes in a way, led eventually by the government. Outside of that, the very first episode, we see Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie, continuing his work as the Falcon, helping out the Air Force, probably with the help of Rhodey, because we do get a moment of him in the show at that. And basically, he's helping stop terrorists around the world, very much like what he had done with Captain America, Steve Rogers at the time. But we see that most of his struggle comes from his home life, being gone during the blip, being snapped away from Infinity War into Endgame. Those 5 years, his family, his sister, his nephews have all come under financial instability. Their family fishing business is going under, and his loss of income during those years have made it really hard for him to help them as they've taken mortgages, etc., on their home and their property and their boat, basically in risk of losing it. And most of episode 1 involves him trying to deal with this, being a famous world-saving hero, but yet still not able to get any help financially or loans. And that bleeds into the world at large, whereas due to half of the world's population being snapped away and then returning suddenly, has caused an influx of refugees, very similar to what the EU was facing pre-pandemic, as far as facing, this influx of refugees, where to put them up, who's going to pay for them, etc. Basically a global consortium is attempting to deal with that, made up mostly of, world powers and banks. And as such, handle it very much like a business opportunity or problem, thus not looking at the plight of the people involved. And as these people continue to be basically discriminated against and pushed out of their homes, etc., not finding any opportunities, they begin to rise up into a group called the Flag Smashers, basically wanting the world to kind of go back to the way it was during the snap, with less people, more opportunities for them. And some of these Flag Smasher members have gotten their hands on a super soldier serum that, remember, produced Steve Rogers and was the pinnacle of the plight in Civil War. So Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, we see is also in this, and he's very much kind of facing a post-traumatic stress disorder, where he has to continue on with his life, trying to make amends for what he had done to various people as the Winter Soldier when he was being controlled by Hydra. And also upset at, Sam's character, the Falcon, for giving up the shield, which we see also in episode 1, episode 2, that he gives the shield to the Smithsonian, not wishing to become the new Captain America, essentially. The Smithsonian has the Steve Rogers exhibit, so that would be a good place for it. But unfortunately, the government has other plans and gives it to a new person called John Walker, who the government has sponsored to become the new Captain America and basically police the world. Very much so, more so than Steve Rogers did with his own moral compass. Basically following the whims and the orders of government officials. Now, this is directly out of the comic books. You know, when Captain America was relieved of his duties as Captain America, Steve Rogers, they did appoint a new Captain America, and he did come into contact with a villain called the Flag Smasher, who had basically totally defeated him, as kind of what we see in this show, episode 3 and 4. And thus the real Captain Rogers, or Captain America, Steve Rogers, has to come back in and retake the shield. But in this case, it turns out to be Sam Wilson. What I can say for this, as far as that goes, is that it gives an interesting opportunity to look at, you know, the government is interested in continuing these superheroes, but again, if they can be controlled by the government, not as loose and on their own initiative as the Avengers were. You know, we're not given any privy into what's going on with the ex-Avengers. If the Avengers team is still active, Wakanda, we do see, is still promoting its influence in the world, and we actually see some members of the Dora Milaje come in to play during these 6 episodes. But we don't see any of the other Avengers, nor are they mentioned. Where Sam Wilson, a big question is, why didn't he just go to Pepper Potts, maybe the Tony Stark Foundation or something, for help? His fellow Avengers, ex-Avengers maybe. Even the Hulk probably has some type of income that could have helped him with, you know, securing a loan. Rhodey, you know, since he's working directly with him in the Air Force, you know, but all we can probably know is that, being a proud man that he is, he did not want to involve his personal problems in his work, as such many people do. And you know, as a person of, as a proud person myself, I have to you know, acknowledge that it's like, yeah, okay, I can understand that. You know, in the comics, the Avengers did get a stipend from Tony Stark, so many thousands a month, to be on call as Avengers, but we find out that that was generally not the case in, you know, in the MCU, and also, you know, during the years from Civil War to Infinity War, they were cut off anyways from any income, and were criminals of the U.S. government. At least the, you know, Sebastian Stan, Winter Soldier, Falcon, anyone who was on Captain America's, Steve Rogers' team was basically criminalized. And that's kind of, you got to reach back and remember that. So, you know, not only those 5 years that Sam didn't have any income, it was also the years that he was on the run as a fugitive. Also affected by that was, we see the new Carter, what was her name? Haley Carter, the blonde from Civil War, from Winter Soldier. We find out that as the result of helping Steve Rogers and Cap's team, giving him back his shield in Civil War, She lost her job with the CIA, became a outcast, and essentially became a global weapons procurer called the Power Broker, and became a part of running a large crime organization that she is in control of. Now, in the end, thanks to Sam Wilson, she does get her agent job back, but she also keeps that of the Power Broker. And it seems that she's more willing to maybe go in and stay double agent, per se, selling government secrets to the highest bidder, instead of just simply returning back to her life as a U.S. official or government lackey. You know, what this says for the future, some people say this could spin off into another show per se. We don't know. I'm not really all that interested in a Power Broker show, you know, kind of a global crime drama, kind of like, think of The Blacklist is what this show would turn out to be. You know, it was an interesting nod of the hat to the comics with Carter's portrayal as the Power Broker, and it did kind of help move the plot along, but still not so much more. Basically, the main themes of this show are focusing on Sam Wilson, the Falcon, and the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan's character, and how they are trying to get back into the world and also kind of befriend one another once more, both feeling betrayed, Sam by society, his business, his family's business failing, Bucky being an outcast of society, not only 107 years old apparently, and out of place with societal norms nowadays, very much like Steve Rogers was. However, also in the fact that he was an assassin programmed to kill people, and he carries that guilt in him, and that's a common theme that follows through the 6 episodes, as we had seen that he befriends a man whose son he had killed during this programming, and he wasn't even the actual target, he was just an innocent bystander at the time. And so how he copes with that PS, that post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is also interesting to see how he can pick up the pieces of his life. And we see various moments of him going through counseling, even that of Baron Zemo offering him some words of advice. But it's not until Sam Wilson, a former kind of clinician, counselor, to other veterans, kind of inspires him to move on. And in that moment, the two help one another, and Sam himself is able to come to grips with that of the complicated matter of carrying Captain America's shield and his legacy as a black man in American society, having always been discriminated against, being put down, racism very prominent in America, and how he deals with those thoughts and those feelings to want to pick up the mantle of the Stars and Stripes and become the new Captain America, as John Walker, the government-sponsored Captain America, is later disgraced by his own actions. Bucky also tells Sam about another Captain America, Isaiah Bradley, that during the Vietnam War was given the super soldier serum, and that he had fought against him in Vietnam. However, the government, because Isaiah was black, turned his back against, they turned their back on him and actually imprisoned him into jail for 30 years. And so he is an embittered, elderly super soldier, just staying out of society. And that also gives us insight into the complicated workings of why Sam Wilson, the Falcon, had turned down becoming the new Captain America from when in Endgame Steve Rogers, the elderly man, gives him the shield at the very end and wants him to become the new Captain America. And basically Bucky says, we never thought how it would impact a black man carrying that shield to represent an America that has never stood by people of color and has always opposed them and their efforts to become equal in society. Those are powerful topics that the MCU addresses in this show, the likes of which we had seen before in HBO's Watchmen series. Very much similar to that, with less teeth, mind you, but still very impactful as well, as only the MCU can do so. And I find it very interesting that, remember, this show was created last year. Before the pandemic hit, it was supposed to drop during the summer of 2020, but was delayed until this year because of the pandemic. And everything from the uprising of January 6th, 2021 can be reflected and seen in this show societally, to unfortunately even down to the killing of George Floyd and the court verdict against the officer that had knelt on his neck for over 9 minutes, kind of being addressed and shown in this show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, even before it had happened. The results were known. That John Walker, when he's been disgraced, the government basically fires him. And he says, haven't I done exactly what you asked me to do in every way? Don't do this to me. Very much, gave me the feelings of what those uprisers, those terrorists from January 6th might say on their day in court, that, hey, we were just following what the President Trump had said, that we could go and storm the Capitol and make things right for America. And that's exactly portrayed in how John Walker is being represented at those moments. Very, very interesting to watch and very interesting to see, given this new light. Far more powerful than had this show dropped last summer before any of these events had taken place. So yes, overall, it is a shock, a thumbs up. I do recommend the entire series, 6 hours, easy enough to binge through. Very much insightful in the ways of societal norms, race, ethics, and dealings, and how the MCU will continue to address these issues in the future from what we had seen from other television shows, the DCU, and even, like I said, the Watchmen television show all kind of talk about this. Even Black Lightning, during its first 2 seasons, were highly motivated into talking about race issues like that, which made it a wonderful show. And to wrap this up, maybe that's another weakness of the 6th and final episode, is that it is kind of wrapped up Maybe not a super neat bow, but it is wrapped up all in those 6 hours, with Sam becoming the new Captain America, Bucky and him becoming pals and teammates to carry on Steve's legacy together. All very powerful stuff, and all should be watched, and you won't be disappointed at all. Again, I feel a very much stronger show than WandaVision. Definitely ends much more satisfactory. Remember also that Black Widow was supposed to come out before this last summer, and so we can probably see in the new Black Widow movie that's going to drop in July some references maybe to the Power Broker, some references to the post, well, maybe not the post snap, because this takes place right after Civil War with Black Widow. So definitely we might be able to see something with Susan Carter. Is it Susan Carter? I think it's Susan. Being the Power Broker, and maybe where she starts to create her empire there, also affecting this creation of super soldiers. Maybe that's where the Taskmaster had come from. Maybe even a talk about Isaiah Bradley, perhaps. We will just have to see how the Black Widow linked, or was supposed to link, into this show. So what's the future? Some people have said that they'd like to see an Isaiah Bradley television show, a young post-World War II Captain America with Isaiah Bradley, a colored Captain America during the Vietnam War area. If so, I'd definitely watch it. But if so, I think that would be a great opportunity to bring in Marvel's Invaders, the Human Torch, not the Fantastic Four Human Torch, Namor, and Isaiah Bradley, Captain America Super Soldier, along with some other Golden Age heroes from the Marvel era that were familiar back in Steve Rogers' day, but kind of updated to use him as the vehicle for pushing these new heroes, or new old heroes, out. I think that would be a great boon to the series if they choose to do that. All right. Again, overall, shock a thumbs up for Falcon Winter Soldier. Totally all out now. I highly recommend binging it. I wasn't willing to sit down and watch it week to week. I wanted it boom all at once, and I was not disappointed. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, saying mahalo and aloha.